NBC Lies. I'm going to tell you a story pushed by NBC News, but hang on. Most of what I'm going to tell you is not true. The original article was published by NBC News on their business site, CNBC. The headline was, Google bans Zero Hedge and The Federalist from its ad platform over protest articles. That sounds terrible. The author, Adele Momoko Frazier, gives 3 key points for people who don't want to read the whole article. 1. Google has banned 2 far-right websites from its advertising platform after research revealed the tech giant was profiting from articles pushing unsubstantiated claims about Black Lives Matter protests. This is not true. 2. The 2 sites, Zero Hedge and The Federalist, will no longer be able to generate revenue from its advertisements served by Google Ads. This is also not true. 3. A Google spokesperson said in an email that it took action after determining the website violated its policies on content related to race. Also not true. And everyone in the media ran with the story. The copy-paste hacks just reported the story as it was first published by NBC. Now, the first sentence of the original story was, Google has banned 2 far-right websites from its advertising platform after research revealed the tech giant was profiting from articles pushing unsubstantiated claims about Black Lives Matter protests. Well, this article has been changed. It has been rewritten, but without informing the reader that any of the changes. That line now reads, Google has banned Zero Hedge, a far-right website that often traffics in conspiracy theories, from its advertising platform over policy violations found in the comments section of stories about recent Black Lives Matter protests. This is all about what random people on the internet put in the comments section. This has nothing to do with anything Zero Hedge published. And did NBC put a note on the page to tell the reader that the story has been updated? No. The only indication of any change is it says the story has been updated at 4:26 a.m. today. But there's no indication to what was changed. And the problem is everyone in the media just rewrites the NBC article and pushes it out. For example, this is from a TechCrunch article. As NBC reports, Google determined that both the Federalist and right-wing website Zero Hedge violated its policy against monetizing content that, quote, promotes hatred, intolerance, violence, or discrimination based on race. That's not true. But they just copied the original NBC article and they put it out. And that's what every media company does. They copy the journalism of other companies, and they just say, oh, as NBC reported, and then they're able to do it. Now, they can go back and update their article as well, but the damage is done. In fact, even framing Zero Hedge as far right doesn't even make sense. Zero Hedge, as far as I know, is a finance site. You can go there yourself and check. At least half the articles have to deal with the Fed or gold or stocks, different movers in the market. It's mainly a finance site, and I would maybe classify them as maybe an alternative site. But it's not far right. I mean, they weren't pushing the conspiracy theory about Russiagate like NBC did every single day for years. So somehow, if you don't push the conspiracies of the mainstream media, then therefore you must be a conspiracy site yourself. This is not journalism. What NBC did here is shameful, and everything about the story has been changed. I will leave links in the description. You can check out the original story, and you can check out the story as it appears now. Totally different. It is disgusting, but that is the state of the media today. Quaker Oats to end Aunt Jemima brand to make progress toward racial equality. From Rolling Stone. In a statement Wednesday, Quaker Oats, who purchased the Aunt Jemima brand of syrup and pancake mixes in 1926, admitted the racial history of the brand, which was named after the minstrel song Old Aunt Jemima. The new name and packaging for the breakfast products will be announced later this year, with the rebranded products expected to hit supermarket shelves by fall of 2020. According to the timeline of the Aunt Jemima website, the brand was created in 1889, but was first brought to life by Nancy Green, who featured as Aunt Jemima on packaging. Soon after Aunt Jemima's announcement, Uncle Ben's Rice, another food brand built off of racial stereotype, also revealed plans to change their image. And this is where it gets interesting, because you want to have representation, but you certainly don't want to have racist representation. I think they've changed the packaging on Aunt Jemima quite some time ago, that now it's just a nice looking lady. You know, she's not wearing anything reminiscent of, you know, the plantation or anything like that. You know, so I'm not sure about that, but it's gone. Uncle Ben's also apparently is going to rebrand, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, I didn't see either of those necessarily as being racist, but again, I'm not their customer. Popular Mechanics magazine published an instruction piece on Tuesday that tells readers how to take down statues, quote, without anyone getting hurt, The Hill reports. Should you happen to find yourself near a statue that you decide you no longer like, we ask scientists for the best, safest way to bring it to the ground without anyone getting help. Except, of course, for the inanimate racist who's been dead for a century anyway, writer James Stout begins. Stout also taps mechanical engineer Scott Holland to provide explicit details on how to safely bring down a statue that includes assembling a team of up to 70 friends for the job. Now, I don't think that this is responsible. I don't think that we should be pushing people to just go out and take down statues by yourself. We live in a society, civilization. We have a way to go about this. And if there is a statue or a public work of art that you don't care for, you can organize and have it taken down. I don't think that anyone should just decide to take that down by yourself. You don't have that right. That's against the law. And I certainly wouldn't be a part of it. There are murals in the city of Portland that I don't care for. But if I were to just go out with a can of paint and paint over a work of art because I didn't care for it, I don't think that's the world we want to live in. Growing movement by Portland dancers to strike unless strip clubs commit to cultural sensitivity training. Fox 12 Oregon reports the latest group to stand in solidarity with protesters demanding racial justice is growing by the day and calls their movement PDX Stripper Strike. It's made up of Portland dancers, DJs, and bartenders who say they won't come back to work until strip clubs commit to providing safer working environments, which includes agreeing to cultural sensitivity training and ending racist scheduling preferences for nights and weekends. In just over a week, about half the clubs in Portland proper have signed on for cultural sensitivity training by accredited organizations, which Hollis is working to make free or available at a reduced cost. She says they'll be striking at clubs which aren't willing to grow with them. Now, this is really crazy. I looked more into this story to find out exactly what this racist scheduling was that they're talking about. And essentially, strip clubs here in Portland are different. They might be different than what it's like in your city. When I was in Dallas, the strip clubs were huge. They were palatial. There'd be 100 dancers working on a Friday night. Here in Portland, they're They're small. It's like a neighborhood bar. Portland is a very, very white city. I think it's the whitest city over, 500,000 people in the country. We have a population of about 3% black. Now, just because a dancer doesn't get a shift on the premium night, if you don't get to work on a Saturday night, that doesn't necessarily mean that the club owner is racist. There's no evidence of that. Now, I don't know, but I'm going to assume that most people running strip clubs like money. They want to make money, lots of money. And if you're a dancer and you're bringing in more money, they're going to want to have you on those premium nights. And if you're not making as much, you're going to get the day shift. By making everything about race, to me, it just looks like a shakedown. And lastly, Popular Mechanics reports, scientists from the University of Leeds, and it should be mentioned, Procter & Gamble, say the best way to keep clothes looking fresh for as long as possible is to use the coldest, shortest wash cycle. These researchers conclude that the best wash cycle is a modified Leviathan, gentler, colder, and shorter. By reducing time and temperature, they say, we can reduce the amount of microfiber pollution released into the general water cycle, the amount of waste soap, and the carbon footprint of our washer activity. Now, this is something that I didn't need a scientist to tell me. I think that washing in cold has given me the best results. For me, over the year, I don't have white starch shirts that I have to worry about, which may need to be in hot, but I've been washing in cold my whole life because, it's cheaper. It's cheaper for your electricity bill. So that's why I do it. But it turns out that shorter and colder washing cycles will keep your clothes intact for the longest. Now, let me know your thoughts on any of these stories in the comments. Have an awesome day. Peace.